Venkatachalam Prasad, greetings to you all. We are into AlcoBev industry in the name of Pipit Breweries and Distilleries Limited. We have a distillery bottling and blending and bottling plants in pan India. 3 distilleries we have and 3 breweries in commercial trade we have in pan India. Nabulla, Kolkata, Goa, Odisha, Mysore and Pune of course. Plants we have in micro state. We have a flagship company in the name of Pipit Breweries and Distilleries Limited. With all these funding verticals, manufacturing verticals we do have under the flagship company. And I am an entrepreneur of more than 30 years, 35 years I am into steel industry. More specifically since 2017 I am into AlcoBev. The government licensing policies, encouragement, discouragement, the bureaucracy took a long time for us to come into the industry. Now that we are seriously kick-started all the projects and all the brews and the distilleries and everything is started. By this month end and November, you can see our products and you can taste our beers. First we launching in Mumbai Expo in our beer stall coming from Pune, our beer.
You have your beer here?
Yeah, we are going to have it here now. Our stall C99 I guess, C99. What's the number? Our stall number? C99. C99 is the number. Please come and taste our beer. Yes, our beer. And that's it. We are here before you in one piece.
That's amazing. I would definitely encourage everybody in the audience to maybe hop on over and try some beer. I think one of those perks of having drink tech in Maharashtra is the alcohol licensing is a little more lenient compared to other cities, so we can actually have a lot of good fresh craft beer and available on tap at the exhibition. So I think I want to sort of just jump right into it. I think we had a much bigger panel today, but we had a few last minute cancellations, which is great because then we can really ask these guys all the questions. So I think I want to just start by giving a little context. So craft beer has been fairly new in India. I mean, it's relatively new is what I would say now. Probably about a decade old, and I think it's been really fascinating to see how the sector has evolved, how the industry has evolved, which started by basically, we were just talking about it. Doolally, and I think Amar was one of the first brewers at Doolally as well. The first brew pub in Pune, which started way back in 2009. 2009. So yeah, almost 15 years ago now. Wow. So starting from there, and we have breweries at the entire end of the spectrum. Initially, it used to be just the larger commercial sort of breweries, and suddenly the microbreweries sort of came around, and that sort of changed the whole perspective on people, how they looked at beer. It used to be mostly like an industrial sort of commercial process, but then the microbreweries sort of shone a light on the more handcrafted and the more artisanal nature. My first question, again, this is sort of for both of you, right? Because brewing, making beer has been pretty much as old as civilization, and there is definitely a whole lot of tradition that sort of we follow when it comes to making beer around what is allowed, what is not allowed, what using malts versus adjuncts and that kind of stuff. So my question is, how do you approach balancing traditional craftsmanship with modernization? Because at the end of the day, we are still trying to produce beer at somewhat of a scale. So how do you balance it? Because there are so many processes which are so traditional, right? Like when it comes to brewing, the whole handcrafted nature of it. But at the same time, how do you balance brewing more on a commercial scale versus the traditional approach? And again, this question is for both of you, so please feel free to.
So it's not the way in India it started fairly new. It's 15 years back. Some brewery opened, okay, and the culture has started of using different ingredients, trying new flavors, going to a different extent, and the best part was to get connected directly to the consumer. So this was something which gives you the feedback, and through that you learn a lot of consumer behavior, okay. And regarding that consumer behavior, you can switch your the recipes, the ingredients, and what season that you are into, and all that. So when we started, like in 2008, we established our brewery, and then that time the technology was right now. If you see the nuts and bolts, that time it was a technology. Okay, I mean, so the small equipment, getting the right vendors and all that. Okay, so modernization for me back in days 2008 and 9, were finding the right vendor, a reliable vendor. Okay, and getting the things done as per the standards, norms, so that you can give a consistent beer supply. Okay, and plus the consistency in the beer style. Okay, something that you would really like to make. Okay, so that was the biggest challenge when it comes to bringing the consistent product, finding the raw material, finding the right supplier for if something breaks down, whom to approach, where to get right things. Okay, and the more the times we spent in that, we met a lot of people, like good engineers, good raw material suppliers, and all that. So from there, it have came to a very long journey. Means even 10 years, 15 years, not a short period of time. I think slowly we are getting towards innovating the new beer styles. Okay, like now there are beer styles which is like brewed IPA, which is a kind of a new scientifically driven beer, right? Means it is treated with enzymes where it becomes a champagne-like character, very heavily carbonated, decently hopped, and all that. The other beer that I really like is, means when it comes to the modernization of that, is pastry stout. Okay, it's very thick, very creamy, a lot of richness of malt is there. Okay, tends to be very chocolatey. So yeah, I mean, slowly with the right technology, with the right path, and the right consumer behavior, when you understand the right consumer behavior, okay, this monotonous techniques becomes a little modernization side of it.
But, I'm sure, I mean, the journey would have been quite interesting because you realize that the kind of equipment that's available to you in India as well has evolved quite a bit. There's a lot of knowledge and modernization that has happened from an equipment manufacturing standpoint. Because I remember, like about 10 years ago, it was very difficult to even find anybody who would do good sanitary grade welding.
Lamps, man, PC lamps.
Yeah, like I mean, finding PC clamps. We've like run around in all markets around trying to find good dairy fittings and that kind of stuff. And now you just have this whole beautiful exhibition here with vendors. Sir, what about?
Yes, I would want to add to this, like process of brewing hasn't changed. It is the same. The capex has been downsized. That is the science and engineering value evolved last 15 years. Lots of new equipments being added. These are all reference. But the actual process of the brewing technology from the starting to the ending it is the same. Now, to give more palatable, people have invented dosing systems, maybe oranges or peas, or pasteurization, filtered, unfiltered. These are all the things, gimmicks and whatever we have done. But it became a palatable thing and people are enjoying it also. From the regular commercial brewing to the craft, if you see, it is downsized in the capex only. And more good equipment have come, copper and other things have come. And it has become a very reachable thing to everybody. Now anybody can make a microbrewery. Earlier days it used to be huge, lot of money you have to invest. And from there, lot of logistic costs, one corner to the other end of India, pan-India, they used to suffer. Because of this craft thing evolved, the pockets of units have come pan-India, and then it has become the down in the capex. As well, everybody is contemplating to do it. Government is also supporting, and microbrewery licenses are also doing it. But people are enjoying it more because of the taste and other things. People are enjoying it. So this is a very good sign and good sign for the growth. Only thing is that how you market sustainability is important in craft brewing. I am doing it, somebody else will come and then people switch to that. So that kind of little challenges are there, but still demand is good and then a lot of growth potential.
No, absolutely. I think I want to sort of talk about the building efficiency part a bit, because I think that's something that a lot of craft breweries are also notorious for, about having very inefficient systems, which is fair, right? Because at the end of the day, whatever technology is available to us as small brewers at our scale is essentially scaled down versions from the commercial equipment. But not all of it sort of scales linearly, and most of it is not very cost effective. So, case in point, for example, if you have like a 5 hectoliter brew house, you probably wouldn't be thinking of getting a mash press. That's way too efficient and way too expensive also. So, my question is, how do you approach efficiency, on a day-to-day basis in your brewing? Is it just more about the output? Is it more about just keeping your energy costs low? How do you define efficiency, and how have you sort of addressed it?
Irrespective of the size, you are making beer means you are making beer. Output should be there. There is no shortcut for that. Unless otherwise it is palatable, you cannot make it. You call it 5HL, 3HL, 2HL, whatever. The process is same. Unless that kind of size you need to design. It's already inbuilt it comes. And so, whether you can sustain with that particular scale of operations in the market or not is very, very important. So, now after the major evolvement in the market, people are also not going for the smaller size. A sizable thing you need to definitely do it. Otherwise, it's very difficult to sustain in the market. The continuity should be there, homogeneity should be there, the taste also. And you should be able to procure the same thing, stocks, inventory, so many things add to
It
that.
also depends on what kind of business model you have, right? If you're planning to distribute pan India, then you definitely have to brew it at a certain scale.
Yes, beer and of course spirits still you have choice, but beers you have no choice that one corner to the other corner you can't supply because of the export and other duties and the logistic costs are so high. You can at the most 2-3 states, neighboring states only you can get it. But sitting in Maharashtra trying to sell something in Assam is just just doesn't happen. First and other things are involved. But of course MNCs they don't see, their perspective is more like market share they see. 1 or 2 people may be doing, but general trend is that it's not advisable in brewery industry to supply from one corner to the other corner. No.
Absolutely, and I think that's a very good point you're making, because traditional wisdom was to sort of have like one manufacturing facility in probably MP, so you can cover the whole country. But that just doesn't work anymore.
We started in Haryana. Okay, so that was one geographical benefit that we thought that we're gonna kind of cater. It's like the 9 states and union territory in 500-kilometer radius. That's nowhere in India. and you see the places like Delhi, Chandigarh, Haryana, Punjab, these are heavy alcohol consuming states. But getting entry into these states is completely different. But coming to the topic and the point that you have raised, that efficiency in the brewing industry, okay, or in any sort of industry, it starts from the micro level, okay, means how the data is being kept, okay, like right raw materials, okay, the consumer patterns, okay, what beers are consumed at what rate, okay. So in a microbrewery, basically you have like 8 to 12 types of beer on tap, and keeping efficient system is very important so that you have all the beers running on tap, okay, and you have new styles, flavors, and new beers coming up, some collab batches coming up. You need to have a 15 days, 20 days kind of pre-planning, or sometime in months of pre-planning, right? So some beers takes like one beer that we did was Flanders Reading. So that takes approximately 2 to 3 months in the barrel aging and all that, okay. And planning a calendar around it, that's a very difficult thing. Means if the taste changes in the barrel and you need to keep changing it, keep tasting it, and all that. So efficiency it starts from the micro level where it goes to a macro level where you control your supply, as he said, okay, and supply chain management and all that. But yeah, I mean, majorly for a small setup, a small business, a brewery dealing with probably like 10-15,000 liters,
where it have a very selective employees. Okay, it's all about your staff, how well trained your staff is, and this is where the efficiency is gonna come. No system can create any efficiency when you don't have an untrained staff. Right?
No, no, absolutely, and I think that's also a very good point you made. Like, it has to be sort of part of the culture of your organization, because and this is very true. When it comes to, like, especially water efficiency, you could have all the sort of initiatives for saving water, recycling water, but if as a production facility there are certain people who are just not very water efficient or are wasting water, then all that stuff sort of just goes out of the window really. I want to just sort of change gears a little bit, and I want to, because we did mention upon technology. I wanted to ask you, like, how has technology or automation sort of influenced the way you manage production and distribution processes? And this goes beyond just brewing, because I think we're talking about the entire supply chain, like in distribution. There is a certain sort of way you realize that works really well. What sort of technology and automations have you used to build more efficiency across the sort of business?
So there are two things. Okay, there is an automation and there is an instrumentation. Okay, so automation is something where you reduce human intervention, okay, create something on a very consistent path for a very long period of time, okay, and you have the control over the raw material, the portion size of the raw material, water, chemical profile of the water, physiochemical properties of a mash and all that, so biochemistry and all that. So these sensors detects all these things in the real time. Okay, and then this is where bigger breweries has a bit of an edge, where they have a lot of these type of technology. Okay, there is one company over here which is known as Anton Power. Okay, very fine equipment, very good equipment when it comes to like real time valuation, like carbonation, oxygenation, and whatnot. Okay. So they do tailored things also, where they have their own kind of tailored technology, I would say. Yeah. So that's something they do. Okay, but in a microbrewery, mostly it's all about instrumentation, right? And it's my we were laughing
about real-time feedback, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, to what extent you would like to go? Okay, means in automation, to what extent you would like to go? Means hardly I see any microbrewery, even a 10 HL microbrewery, that's like the biggest as of now what we have seen, right? So you have one head brewer, two assistant brewers, 4-5 helpers, 1 or 2 operators. Okay, not too many of the staffings are there. Okay, so I would say there are few points where the automation is required, but if you want to pull everything into an automation, okay, that human intervention, like the real craft of a person, that's why we are known as a brewer, right? Otherwise, sitting behind a laptop and sensors are telling me something and we are just clicking buttons. Okay, it's machine who's operating us instead of us operating the machinery. So that is where I look into that, how much human intervention is required, human efforts are required, and that's how the automations and instrumentation is selected. Mostly I try to switch for the instrumentation side in a microbrewery than towards the automation side. Yeah, that's
No, absolutely, and I think it's important for as a head brewer for you to really be in tune with what's going on, because we're making beer. This is we're not. It's not a pharmaceutical industry where you're working on a formula. There has to be that element of sensory, which regardless of no matter how automated your brewery is, all good breweries do have a sensory panel, and that sort of just speaks to the more sort of human side of brewing. I wanna get your perspective on this as well, because you operate across the country with multiple distilleries and breweries, and I think that's where automation and these sort of things become very critical for consistency.
I'm totally with automation of the main process, the heart. Suppose if you come to brewery industry, main brew house and all that to be automated, the PLC system, whatever. It is like a guide force. It navigates what's happening inside and all that. Humanly, how can you see inside whatever is happening? Therefore, there is no shortcut for this automation. You have to go for the major process. Rest of the packaging area, some of the areas you can go for semi-manual, whatever you want to do, based on the cost control. Instrumentation also, you should never compromise. Instrumentation is another equally important thing, which pumps everything in a rated capacities and all. So these two things, cost, capex, you have to take into account. And then you have to upgrade or streamline your size of the project accordingly. And nowadays, in spirits division, to our surprise, majority of the process, even spirit, from the tanks to the process and process to the bottling area, everywhere there are excise department is insisting for the instruments, which is costing almost like a small brewery cost, small brewery micro brewery. So what happened? More than us, they became like our watchdogs. It's good for us also because whatever is happening inside. It's like artificial intelligence. You have put 100 liters, what happened? I should see in the bottle form or in the process form. Not even a liter. Every liter is being checked by them. So we are facing the challenge also. It is adding lot for the capex. For us, it's a dead capital, but still we have to do it. Spirits division, this challenge we are facing. Brewery, relatively, it earns and it is inbuilt. But spirits, we haven't budgeted for that. Yeah, you see Kolkata, West Bengal and Odisha, they become pioneers. Now entire other parts of India, they are taking up the same similar lines of buying the instrument, they are insisting on that. Yeah, because suppose in spirit you mix up water or something and then your accounting will be the same. But they want...
What about the taxes though? They mostly care about the taxes.
Yes, taxes and control of the pilferage. Whatever the excise, whatever the spirit you are using, and what is the output also they are seeing. Therefore, it's a good for us. And then since the demand is more, you upgrade your size of the plant and then earn money, do business, you can do it. There is no challenges. But only thing is the capex and deep pockets are required in the spirits department, especially.
It's a capital intensive industry.
Yes, both. Yeah.
Just sort of curious though, this is out of all the states that you're sort of operating in, which one seems to be the most easy to sort of operate in, just purely from a compliance and government excise standpoint?
They're all brothers.
Which is it?
It's a blow cold, blow hot. You can't be too close, you can't be too far. I see the uniqueness in our country, this thing, they act like brothers. Be it West Bengal to Maharashtra, they speak different language, but the sense of talking is the same. Therefore, but all are good, they are all friendly also, otherwise it's very difficult to operate a plant. If it's not one-sided like other plants.
Sure.
If government support, especially excise department support, who sits in our plant day in, day out, hand in hand, you have to work with them. They also support like that. The only thing is that a lot of regulatory aspects are there, paperwork, so many things we have to follow. It's good for us also. It's like a self-audit, energy audit, water audit, spirits audit, plant audit, budget audit. Everything is inbuilt.
Pollution sort of aspect.
Yeah, pollution also. Earlier days, pollution used to take the upper hand. Now, since the excise department is doing their job, they are just sitting back in it somewhat. Like this department is leading us in all aspects. Therefore, all these states are same. There is no big, small or anything. Somewhat Maharashtra 1.5% more to little difficult to handle. Little micron I can say. Because here you see Bombay, only they have outlets, only tap rooms. The brewing is coming from Pune, Nashik and other places only. Because of the cost of the handling of the premises and all that, they are discarding all microbreweries in Bombay, relatively. And the accidents that took place in Pune and the recent things, the department is coming heavily on the plant projects and plant people.
It's been very challenging.
Very challenging.
Even for the F&B and the restaurant sector as well.
Yes. Now, earlier excise department used to handle everything. Now they have upgraded the permissions. It is going to the administration. The local corporate also is involved in everything. Small challenges are there. but business is also more, which is a very good thing. So overall thing is extremely happy with working here. No issues.
That's actually a good point you mentioned, because even we recently had that same change where, previously that there's a like an excise officer assigned to a brewery, and now they've just created a new post for everybody, which is good and bad, because previously like they didn't know how to regulate the breweries. But now at least they're taking it seriously, which is, what that means is that, it goes both ways. You have, the paperwork is easier, there's somebody who's more always accessible, for sure. I want to get your thoughts on this, like, because, you worked in different industries, you worked in craft beer, you worked in cider, worked in wine. How has government compliance or mandatory compliance sort of made it easier or difficult to sort of build more efficient processes? You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, we have the whole flow meter that we have to sort of go through in Maharashtra. Similarly, there must be other sort of compliance requirements, and how has that sort of affected how you sort of design processes in your plants, and what are your thoughts on that?
Look, okay, I would say Maharashtra government is little progressive in that term. I mean, the growler policy, bottling, kegging, and all that. Is probably the Maharashtra is the first one. But if you see one thing is that how active the association or the people around the industry are. Okay, I think Maharashtrian people are more active. They kind of explain things in a better manner with a proper documentation and with the right reference. And this is what government looks. Okay, pilferage, as you said, that is the biggest concern for the government. Manipulating the norms is the biggest concern for the government. They earn 10 rupees or they lose 10 rupees, that's a different thing. Okay, but any process where it can be harmful for human consumption in that manner is the biggest challenge for the government. Okay. When it comes to beer, okay, or a wine, okay, there is hardly anything which can go wrong in terms of toxicity and all. Okay, there are very few chances where beer can be toxic, where the person can be like hospitalized and all. Okay, there are very rare chances. Okay, alcohol in a beer is somewhere around 5% to 8%. Okay, most of it is going to be converted into vinegar. What else? Okay, that's still very weak.
Adulteration is something.
Adulteration is something. Yes, that's the second point that I was coming to. Okay, that so it can't really affect upset stomach. That's the most common symptom that you get. But the adulteration is the biggest concern for the government. Even since I worked very closely with Maharashtra government when I was here initial time, okay, Haryana, where I proposed a lot of policies for the wine industry because I am associated over there, a kind of a stakeholder for the excise. Okay, so we proposed a lot of things. 80% of the things was accepted by them. Okay, 10% they are hesitant because they don't know what reference they can take. Another 10% is probably something which they are not sure. Okay, and when they are not sure, they don't pass it. Okay, that's all about it. But yeah, I think dealing with any government department is all about right documentation, right representation, how you can follow the norms, how it can be governed, and how it can be regulated. This is where their interest is, and what incentive we can provide it to the government in terms of excise, VAT, and whatever should be our concern, or the employment in that manner. Okay, yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah. No, absolutely, and I think this is just a part of business. Maybe when I was new in the industry, we would all be sitting and cribbing about all the compliance. But this is just the business. So, and I think at the end of the day, the tax revenue that breweries and distilleries generate for the government is actually a pretty big, significant amount for the state budget. So that's definitely one of those things that it feels good to have contributed. I want to just change gears slightly, and I want to talk more about products a little bit, because you've seen how there was this whole craft gin craze sort of that came around. Craft beer was very new as well 10 years ago. There's a lot of innovation happening in brewing as well, but like even more so on the spirit side of things. There's This craft gin was big. Now I'm hearing about rum sort of taking over as well. I want to ask you, both of you, like, how do changing consumer preferences, maybe it's, more health conscious beverages, or, demand for sort of more artisanal products, something that tells a story. How does that sort of impact your approach to sort of efficiency and modernization? Because I'm assuming, your processes and equipment would have been sort of already calibrated for a particular lineup of products, and, there's suddenly this new sort of demand in the market. How do you sort of approach that?
Let's go by first thing, that gin, craft gin. Craft gin, like craft brewery, anybody can start. But the process itself is that you bring ENA and then process it and then prepare it. You can make 1,000 bottles, 500 bottles, also you can as well do it. When it comes to the commercial grade, it doesn't have any much impact, because whatever plant we build is suitable to, the bottling unit is suitable for whiskey, rum, gin, anything you can do. It's just blending and bottling. Therefore, if gin, commercial grade gin is not there, it doesn't make any difference. We switch to the next rum and whiskey, because more fast moving of course. And we can create 2 more kettles to make the craft gin, we got already water. But copper kettles are preferred. That's a little capex, and that it gives a real good yield. Goa, many people started and they are successful. But the main thing is that how long they sustain in that. Main thing is that gin initially they do and it goes, but after 1 year, 3-4 people come. It is like fight among 4 tea stalls. So the scale is like that.
It's bad, right?
Yes. And the capex, whatever they invest, and then by the time they recover in 1 or 2 years, and they may or they may not be in the market. Therefore, for commercial scale people, this will be like a small kitty. Along with their rum, whiskey, they can promote gin, and they don't die in the market so quickly. Specifically, if you go for craft gin only and then try to do it, they might get crushed shortly. The same is not the case with breweries, microbreweries. Microbreweries are quite good. Things are like toy and all that, whatever scale they have started in Bangalore. And many other microbreweries are sustaining very well in Bangalore. Bangalore, of course, customers are very loyal actually. Even new things come also, people don't switch. Either say, oh, corner jaregli, they take a lot of time. So generally they don't go.
I think that has also more to do with the traffic in the city.
Yes. So that way it is helping them. When you come to the spirits, if somebody wants to make craft gin, they should be a little careful. Because the equipment what they have to buy German kettles, preferred ones. The local things anyways, it may not give that kind of taste and yield. So they may not be successful. So they have to import good kettle, and then that will give you a really good capex. And then other costs, small, they think that in a small room we can create. They take it on a higher basis, and then rents will go up. One fine day, power and other costs they may not be able to sustain. But taste-wise, in a craft gin, whatever it gives, the taste of it, what it gives, is really good. Other than commercial grade, the craft gin, the taste and color and everything is really nice. So that's it.
Yeah, definitely. We're also talking about some products which are inherently small batch. They're made in smaller quantities. I think, depending on how you look at it, it's primarily for the story, for the marketing, however you would look at it. But almost always these are sort of built on the backs of existing sort of commercial businesses which are already thriving.
Yes, small scale. End of the day, they have to see what is that they have earned in 2-3 years. Better if they don't do that business and keep it in the bank, they would have earned much more than this. Because that kind of discouragement they might get. This is my perception. Overall, I am saying. 1 year if they say we are spending the money, that's fine. Then second and third year, that gets diluted. It gets so something solid. Once you want to come into the AlcoBev, you really need to do something solid. Be it small, be it big. But one thing to do forever, you should stick to it. You should know that till end of it, you have to sustain. That should be the policy.
Thanks. That's actually very insightful, and that's a very good point as well about you have your perspectives on both ends. Starting commercial versus going small scale. I want to just with that before we move forward, I want to just sort of throw this open for the audience. If anybody wanted to ask any questions to any of our panelists, I think we can definitely answer those.
Nobody? Are we clear or we are not audible properly?
We have one hand. Right? Yeah.
You've been talking about the microbrewery boom or whatever you can say. The microbrewery boom is only in specific cities. You take Bangalore, you just rightly said Toit and all these kind of things have come in Bangalore. It's come something in Pune, something in Bombay. But across the country, even if you take the eastern sector of the market, it's only there in Calcutta. But if you take other places like, take the Madhya Pradesh, take Bhopal, take Indore, take any other cities, the kind of penetration microbreweries have taken place. It's not there. Even take Kerala, who the consumption of alcohol beverages in Kerala is the highest probably in the whole country. I remember once Central Excise gave a data that the consumption of whiskey and rum from 1st of December to 1st of Jan beat all the collection that they had from across, even beating Punjab. I was under the impression that Punjab was the highest, but then they beat Punjab also. But there is not a single microbrewery in Kerala, neither in Chennai or any of those kind of places. There's only nearest microbrewery to Chennai is Pondicherry. What is the industry doing, or the forums that are doing, to sort of enlighten the government and the government machinery to spread this microbrewery culture to the other cities, not just focus on. There are a lot of cities, Nagpur, there is other cities like which are even cash rich. Vizag is a big city which is in that side is cash rich, but we don't see any microbreweries there. So what is the industry or any of the forums trying to do to entice or make the government to look at expanding the microbrewery market?
That's a very good question. Every nook and corner of Pan India wants to have craft beer, the taste of the beer. Second thing is that we have taken example of Kerala, Chennai, Pondi, Madhya Pradesh. These 3-4 states, if we see, we have to check with the corresponding chief ministers whether they are allowing inside or not. It is very, very important. Secondly, Madhya Pradesh, if you talk, one or two big guys, like we can say our brothers, whether they are allowing others to come in or not. West Bengal is beautiful and is a very big market. I think we ourselves going for craft brewery there, and maybe next season we are going to catch up regular commercial beer as well as craft beer also. If you cross Bengal and go to Assam and Seven Sisters, small, they are beautiful, very well, beer consumption is there. Microbreweries are very well, people want to go there. There are two things. One is that the government, whether they are allowing us to come inside, is the first thing. Second thing is whether the locals are allowing this to happen or not. The local conditions are also very, very, very important. First of all, they will allow us to start the plant. Then they create all sorts of local issues, local, non-local, and then local fellows will come and then they say that they need some partnership, where corporates may not like it. Some sort of hiccups are there, but slowly they are all eradicating. I think one fine day you will see all the things. Next thing is that Vizag. Vizag is quantity based and quality less. Vizag market I know because I am from Hyderabad. I know Vizag like palm of my hand. I know what's like how they consumption, how they look at it. You say that I will give you one product of 100 rupees, they will say that please give me 50 rupees in two quantities, double the quantities of what you can. I am just saying, it's my hometown, but still I am saying this. The general trends also make a lot of things. But fundamentally, the business AlcoBev industry is totally controlled by the corresponding state chief ministers. If the chief minister wants to give it, it happens, otherwise it will never happen. And why would a chief minister will encourage Prasad from Vizag, who is sitting in the other corner? He will give to his brother or kith and kin. I'm little frank in saying, but this is how we are operating. We are all part and parcel of this soil. But this is how things are happening. But if we can manage the CMO and then get the good licenses, then yes, things will happen. Microbrewery will go by policy matter, policy of the government. Madras, Chennai, they never wanted any microbreweries. They all want personal name beers and personal name whiskeys and scotches. If you see all personal names, Prasad whiskey, or Rao whiskey, Rao brandy, or these things only will be encouraged in Madras. This is a tradition last 20, 30 years. Not only brewery, as well in cement and other industries also. It's a totally closely controlled market. So Madras means their brother is Pondicherry. Kerala, we are dying to enter, but who will bell the cat? Tell me the first. And we are trying to bell a cat. There is only one license available. Last 2 years, day and night, we are trying to grab it, but still we are drinking water, not able to sustain that license. But government day in day out says that we need beer. You manufacturers take this license. But still I am not able to bell that cat. How to bell it? We know we have to bell it, but how to do it is $1 million question. So we have taken already 2 years, we have already consumed. So with great respect to all our governments, humbly we are submitting that there are some challenges, but these are all the things to be addressed also. Yeah, thank you.
May I? So basically what I have seen the trend of a microbrewery, and that was, I think the gentleman's question was that why microbrewery are not flourishing towards the south side or NMP or all that. So I would say it starts from a good metropolitan city, okay, like Delhi, Gurgaon had the first microbrewery, then Pune, Maharashtra had the second microbrewery and all that, okay. Gurgaon, when we talk about Madhya Pradesh, okay, the first thing that they look up to is Delhi side, north side, okay. This is where the regulations are being, the representation of the government norms and all is written there, okay. And Gurgaon is a very failed model, okay. There are different regions, I don't want to get into that, okay. Few owner's mistakes, some equipment mistakes, some brewer's mistakes, that's a different story. But they have always seen a very failed model, okay, where if you see Hyderabad, okay, Hyderabad, the microbreweries are flourishing, where the government have already kind of tapped the number, okay, that if this amount of microbrewery is going to be there. The same similar thing happened in Bangalore also once, that you cannot have more than this much of microbrewery, where National Restaurant Association intervened, and now there's a new policy in Bangalore where they have reduced the area size of a microbrewery, okay. So it's all about the right model that everyone wants to follow, would like to see in front of them. Second is there are huge compliances. Okay. There are tons of compliances, and it takes almost a good state with a good connection, with the right paperwork. It takes approximately a year to get a excise license. Okay, and people who are in this industry are really passionate. Okay, they waited for 1 year. Probably a person have paid 1 year rental, a prime rental. Okay, and then you get that. It's only passionate people will survive this industry. Okay, this is the reason. It's the more passionate people, wherever the more passionate people will be, you will see the microbrewery popping up. South side, obviously, as he said, mentioned that there are policy concerns. Okay, there are some states which doesn't have microbrewery policies. Okay, and that's why it's not being allowed. Slowly, the things are evolving. Madhya Pradesh last year or last to last year given the microbrewery license, right? And you will see there is some paperwork going on. There are people who are putting up the microbreweries over there. But yes, it will take a year to have it. Uttar Pradesh have given a winery license where there is no taxation on wine. There is no VAT, there is no excise. There is no single state who is giving such an incentive. Still there is no winery, and I am talking 7 years back. They have given incentives 7 years back. But such a huge paperwork. So people are like trying. Well, probably a person is trying since last 7 years. They just still didn't got the license. So you will never know in MP someone is trying since last 2 years. I think West Bengal is the toughest state to get a microbrewery license. I did a consultancy for good 4 years and then they got the license. Yeah. So you see there are challenges. There are some compliances challenges, some licensing challenges, and some personal passion. Means you can be passionate for 2 months or 3 months, but at the end of the day, means it's money or a passion. Then this is where the equation dies, right?
No, definitely. So I think I just want to add that you're right. There is definitely a big divide, but I think at the end of the day, all alcohol policy is a matter of state. It's a state subject essentially. So if the state has a policy, then yes, definitely at least there is a pathway for somebody to come and sort of set up a microbrewery. But at the same time, there are all of these other factors. People or the government's attitudes towards alcohol. Their distribution system. So, for example, Maharashtra is one of those few states that allows private distribution. Everywhere else, say Karnataka or other, there's government distribution. So all these sort of create more hurdles for the business to sort of, because it's not just about setting up the business. At the end of the day, you have to do business as well, which means product has to move from the manufacturing facility to the end consumer. So to answer your point, like Tamil Nadu, there is all government control on even retail. There is no retail stores. There is no private retail. So there's lots of factors. How do you change that? I think one thing what we've realized from whatever little policy sort of work we've done in Maharashtra is the first step is to start a dialogue with the policy makers. This is easier said than done. But a lot of times, I think the first step would be to just approach the excise ministers, the principal secretaries, anybody who you can get an audience with really, and sort of build a value sort of for them, like a case for them as to why should you actually allow microbreweries. And almost always there is a strong tie-in with generating employment. It's primarily related to the F&B industry. So that's one of those big sort of sectors that the government is trying to grow because it sort of brings in more revenue for the government as well. So you have to sort of align the interests and start that dialogue. And again, who's going to do this? Anybody who feels strongly about having good locally made beer is totally possible. You should do it definitely. Yes, sir.
Small from Miora. So my question is, when we are talking about efficiency and modernization, so you need to invest in the technology. So, and when you are investing for a better technology, so you need to invest more money, so higher capex. But at the same time, it will save the operational cost. So ultimately, the total cost of ownership is better. But I've seen that the mindset of the Indian customers is just to look at the capex. So if it is higher capex, they don't go for it. So do you see any change in the mindset of taking consideration of the total cost of ownership?
Yes, Amol, I know you, Mura. You have answer in your question. You are surviving in the industry because people are buying it. Right? How many machines you sold? 30, 40, 50 in India? All are multi-millions. You don't speak less than millions, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever number. And you have edge over. You had many of for 10, 15 years, whatever price you said people got. But undoubtedly, whatever mash filters you have supplied, amazing ones, and you are the world leaders, no doubt about it. And the price part also, whatever price you said, and Indians paid from their pocket. Let's not forget that. So you are still selling, you are still sailing, and you are still in the market. So mindset is somewhat little conservative because now after the globalization, a lot of options are also there. You say 4 million, somebody suddenly says 2 million, and Chinese fellow says 1 million. There, to put his position is a little, it has become dicey. And when you come with European brand, people think that it is expensive. But the quality and the number of brews, what your machine can give, people should also ascertain it properly. MNCs buy your machines as well, people of other cadre or next range people also are buying these things. People keep changing. It is the the buying power is very very important. But this is towards positive trend only. There is no depth for payment, and Indians became very strong financially. If you see, people can buy acquisitions, buying and foreign acquisitions also. We are better placed now. So it's not that we can't afford, but the only thing is that mindset and the equations and the capex and other things we'll see. But definitely they take a good decision in their own interest, not in your interest if not. But there's no bad path for this. It's all going to be good.
Thank you.
So thank you.
I think the other bit to it is also, you have to look into what sort of customers are you trying to target, right? For somebody whose entire equipment cost is less than the cost of one mash filter, does it really make sense? Does it really add any value over there? I think these are the sort of questions. Maybe you might have to look into sort of more innovative models wherein you offer some sort of lease, or at the end of the day, if you're approaching it as like some equipment, it's like buying a car, right? If there's going to be a buyback option or that sort of stuff, I think that might sort of help you, at least on a on the microbrewery or the smaller scale of things.
Yeah, the lease options they will ask the entire country for as a collateral.
I'm speaking as a brewer, so definitely as a
I can imagine.
Yeah, so there's two cents from my side. Okay, so, the first phase of microbrewery or any industry is the survival phase. I think we fairly passed from that. Okay, then there is a sustainability phase where you enter into bringing the right product to the consumer, the liking of the consumer, disliking of the consumer, understanding that, and then you have a product in your hand, right? So I think we are at the stage of having a product in our hand, and probably that's the shift from a lager to a wheat beer right now. Okay, I don't know when the technology, which if the giants like you and other people, okay, can bring something which is sustainable for a micro product, which can be installed in let's say 1,000 square feet of microbrewery. Okay, that's where the trend and the mindset will change. Okay, but I think it's still like 5 years down the line. Okay, when there is a good consumption in the market. As of now, there are a lot of microbreweries who are making good beers. Okay, still struggling for the right consumption. Okay, right, finding the right market. Okay. So yeah, I mean, these are the things, but I see once we are set with the product acceptability and the right consumption, we are how much? Probably like 2.5 liters per person per annum in India right now. And when we talk about some neighboring countries, which is somewhere around 40 liters, 50 liters per person per annum, that's a big gap. That's a big gap. If India reaches half of it, I don't think so. There are breweries which can actually provide beers to the consumers. Since we are very very small consumer when it comes to the population-wise consumption. Okay, so let that phase come in the picture, and this is where the things will change. The acceptability of new technology will come. Okay, and we will shift from survivability to a consumption side of it, right? So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Anybody else in the audience? Okay, all right. So I think we can wrap up. We're anyway a little over time. But thank you so much for taking the time out today and joining us for this panel. There were some really great insights that you shared, and I'm really happy to have hosted this panel.
Thank you all for hearing to us. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, our panelists and moderators, for having an insightful discussion. And I'd now like to invite Ms. Prati to please felicitate our moderator, Chinzi from Bombay Dark Brewing. Let's have a huge round of applause for this amazing session being moderated by him. Thank you very much, Chinzi, for sharing all the insights and leading this discussion very clearly. We'd also like to thank Mr. Amar Srivastava, the co-founder of Sequera. Thank you very much, Mr. Amar, for shedding light on this topic. We'd also like to thank Mr. Prasad, the Managing Director of Cupid Breweries. We'd really like a group picture with the entire panelists and team to be captured before we move on ahead with the next session. Once again, thank you very much, our panelists and our moderator, Chinzi. Thank you. And it's time to start up our next session.